Throughout history, countless women have been executed for their defiance against oppressive regimes. During World War II, many female resistance fighters met their end under the guillotine inside German prisons for standing against the Nazi dictatorship. Dictators seek absolute control, crushing any form of resistance and eliminating those who challenge their authority. One such woman who suffered a tragic and harrowing fate in Iraq during the 1970s was Layla Qassim. She was the first woman to be hanged by the political party that later brought Saddam Hussein to power. But what led to her execution, and how did her death become a symbol of resistance for her people? Layla Qassim was born in 1952 into a Kurdish family in Iraq. From an early age, she developed a strong sense of identity and deep pride in her Kurdish heritage. Her family later moved, and while growing up, she was mostly self-educated, with her mother teaching her Arabic and agricultural skills. Despite the challenges faced by Kurdish communities in Iraq, Layla pursued formal education. In 1971, she moved to Baghdad to study sociology at the University of Baghdad. But her time in the capital would expose her to the brutal realities of Iraq's political landscape. At the age of 16, Layla witnessed a violent political shift in Iraq. In 1968, the Ba'ath Party seized power in a bloody coup, overthrowing President Abdul Rahman Arif. The takeover was brutal, and among the rising figures in the new regime was a ruthless man named Saddam Hussein. Under Saddam's leadership, the Ba'ath Party launched a campaign of terror, crushing any opposition. People disappeared overnight, either executed or imprisoned for merely speaking out against the government. Layla, horrified by the growing oppression, became increasingly vocal about the injustices being committed, particularly against the Kurdish people. She was deeply disturbed by how her people were persecuted, arrested, tortured, and executed simply for demanding basic rights. Determined to fight for justice, she began writing and speaking against the Ba'athist oppression. She openly criticized Saddam Hussein, calling him a dictator who sought to destroy Kurdish independence. However, she was warned that her activism was dangerous. Many people told her that she was risking her life, but Layla refused to stay silent. Instead of backing down, Layla took her activism a step further. She joined the Kurdistan Democratic Party, KDP, and became an active member of the Kurdistan Student Union. Here, she met like-minded revolutionaries who shared her vision for a free Kurdistan. Layla wasn't just a political activist, she was also a symbol of defiance against Saddam's regime. She believed that women should stand alongside men in the fight for political freedom. Despite facing gender discrimination and threats from the regime, she continued her activism fearlessly. However, the Ba'ath Party was always watching. Saddam Hussein's regime viewed any Kurdish nationalist movement as a direct threat to their power. The government targeted, arrested, and executed anyone suspected of opposing them. It was only a matter of time before they came for Layla. In April 1974, Layla and 4 of her fellow activists were seized and arrested by Saddam Hussein's secret police. The charges against them were completely fabricated. They were accused of attempting to hijack an airplane in an effort to attack the regime. The accusations were absurd, but in Saddam's Iraq, the truth did not matter. The charges were merely an excuse to silence her once and for all. Layla was thrown into a Baghdad prison, where she endured brutal torture. Saddam's men wanted her to reveal information about the Kurdish resistance movement, but despite the horrific abuse, she refused to betray her people. As she lay in her cell, battered and bruised, she knew that her fate was already decided. There was no chance of justice under Saddam's rule. Layla Qassim was put on trial, but it was nothing more than a public spectacle. The Iraqi government broadcasted the trial nationwide, using it as propaganda to intimidate other dissidents. During the proceedings, Layla was accused of plotting to assassinate Saddam Hussein, but rather than begging for mercy, she stood her ground. She showed no fear as she faced her accusers. In one final act of defiance, she looked them in the eye and declared, "Kill me, but you must also know that after my death, thousands of Kurds will wake up." Her courageous words sent a powerful message to the people of Iraq. Even as she faced death, she refused to bow to a dictator. The court sentenced her to death by hanging. On the morning of May 12, 1974, at 8 a.m., Layla Qasim was led to the execution chamber of a Baghdad prison. The place where she would take her final breath was infamous for its brutality, a symbol of Saddam Hussein's reign of terror. Despite the horrifying reality of her fate, Layla remained calm and composed. As she was escorted to the gallows, she sang the Kurdish national anthem, a final act of defiance against a regime that sought to erase her people. The executioner, dressed in a hood, placed the noose around her neck and positioned her over the trapdoor. With a pull of the lever, the trapdoor opened and Layla fell through. She dangled for minutes, her life slowly fading away. At just 21 years old, she was gone, murdered by a regime that feared her voice. Layla Qasim's execution was intended to silence Kurdish resistance. Instead, her death ignited a fire among her people. She became a martyr, a symbol of courage, defiance, and the unyielding spirit of the Kurdish struggle. Though Saddam Hussein continued his campaign of terror, including genocide against the Kurds, Layla's story lived on. Her sacrifice inspired countless others to rise up against oppression and fight for justice and freedom. Many years later, Saddam Hussein himself faced execution, but unlike Layla, he had no noble cause to fight for. He died a disgraced dictator, remembered only for his crimes and brutality. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do like and subscribe to our channel Medieval Mind for more videos on history like this.